Yesterday, thank you very much for coming. Yesterday, actually, I have to share with you, was probably the most depressing day I've ever had in the health sector. It was the day probably where a lot of my beliefs finally ran out. Because we had a day on compassion in healthcare seminar. And I stood up and I said, I'm suffering from man flu. The complete lack of any sympathy or compassion coming towards me was astonishing, and I felt at that stage, well, there clearly is no compassion left, because man flu is a terrible, terrible disease. It should be a notifiable disease only as much as I'm notifying everybody I've got it. So if I'm sounding slightly croaky, forgive me. Don't feel in any way obliged to be compassionate or sympathetic to me, because I know I won't get any. But I just thought I'd mention that. Look, thank you very much to come to the final learning session of this. This has been a huge, huge triumph. Have I got a flipper? All right, thank you. It also does your critical faculties in as well. This has been a huge, huge success, and something I'm incredibly pleased that that we've driven it, that we project managed it really out of Carter, but it's not just about one or two DHBs who started this off, but actually it's about how the sector has hugely responded to a challenge and made absolutely clear that what we can do as a health sector together to lever up and improve health quality right through the country. And I think the results are really quite astonishing, both in terms of what we've achieved, but also proof that we can do things as a sector when we are motivated to do so. We can do this. And if we can do this in CLAB, why can't we do it in a whole host of other things right across the country and really set the benchmark internationally for how we can make change happen? What, do I press a button or something? Oh, I'll turn it on. Right. So it started off with it's been a great partnership between the Health Quality and Safety Commission and CART. I suppose I got one of those very famous conflicts of interest being on both. But it's been, again, an example about how partnership can actually work, starting off with an idea and then rolling it out. So thank you for the Health Quality and Safety Commission for sponsoring it, and thank you to all the teams who have been involved in terms of making this happen. As I said, the impact for CLAB has been really dramatic, because what we've done is we've taken an idea or a proven intervention that was previously existing just in 2 DHBs and spread them right across the country. This is a great example, as you can see in here, of actually how you systematize change. There's a way that you can do it. I mean, one of the things that I find frustrating in New Zealand is the fact that we don't know what everybody else is doing in New Zealand. I have no idea the kind of improvements and great things that are going on in other DHBs. I wish I did, because I've got a lot of problems which I don't know the answers to, but out there somewhere else in somebody else's DHB, those answers exist. This is a great example of how we can take an answer and spread it right across the sector. And we need to be actually realizing that those answers exist and live within us. What we need to be doing is sharing it and making sure we can systematize it, because we've gone from different processes of diagnosing CLAB to a standard process, different blood culture collection processes to a standard one, different interpretation of results and collections to a standard one. No regional networks, we've now got our regional networks, and a single discipline is replaced by an integrated multidisciplinary approach. The right-hand side is very much where we want to be, the left-hand side is where we have been. It's a huge, huge change and improvement. And congratulations to all of you guys who've been the leading lights of New Zealand in making this change happen. And I guess having been here now 7 years and also talking to people who've been longer, this is one of the few examples and the quickest example of actually how we have taken a single issue and got the whole sector mobilised behind it to make a change happen. And you guys have made that happen. You guys are the stormtroopers in terms of making that change happen. So thank you very much for all the incredible hard work you've done. Okay, we built it out the Middlemore ICU. I would give a plug for the guys who've been working here on CLAB for quite some time. Great collaborative work, but the most important thing of all is that figure, 3.52 down to 0.51. Because what we're celebrating in reality is not a couple of figures. What we're not celebrating is not collaboration and spreading it across the sector. What we're actually celebrating is the fact that today in New Zealand there are many, many patients who haven't had an unnecessary nasty infection, which, given the condition they are in ICUs, has very high levels of morbidity and mortality. As a result of this work, it is undoubted that somebody is alive today who otherwise would have been dead. That's the important part of what's been achieved. So, so to me, all of you guys are absolute heroes in making sure that that has happened. So thank you. Acknowledgements to the IHI. Our achievement here, particularly in being, I'm not quite sure if we were the first country, I'll look at Jonathan for that, but possibly one of the first or few countries to actually be CLAB-free as a nation in its ICUs for for a couple of months, as we have been. That's a huge triumph to achieve, to be CLAB-free as a nation, and that's got international recognition. Minister Joe Goodhue had issued the press release, which greatly and fairly broadcast, I think, to the country as a whole, the achievement that we had, and also to acknowledge Sean Sterling and the Radio New Zealand broadcast that we had, which again is getting the message out to the people of New Zealand that change and improvement can happen as a result. So I'd like to thank you, and this is a moment, I think, to celebrate all that we've achieved. Thank you.
I'm Jonathan Gray, so thank you, Geraint, for that, and Dave for taking us into the beginning of the day. I've got about 15 minutes, and there's a couple of things I want to share with you, because it's great. You've been fantastically successful, and so I just wanted to share with you that anything's possible. So let's start with a short video that I think shows that that's true. And I think it's really important, because I wanted to take us into the fact that you've done something amazing. You've fitted into a really tight space. You've done what lots of people said was impossible. You know, I came to New Zealand and I was told that it was really difficult to get all the DHBs to work around a common aim and get something to happen. You've again proven that that's possible. And that's really important, because we've got some big challenges ahead of us. So you've done one. And as Geraint said, part of this, though, is that we're a reusable network. What's your next challenge? And I really wanted to start lifting you to think, as you celebrate this next couple of days, what are the other things that groups of people like you can do? And so I wanted to point out, we've got big challenges. Quality is still a huge challenge for us. Safety, the issues around value, inequalities, prevention. We've got a lot of things that we're going to want to take on. There's huge expectation, increasing need, there's climate change and all issues with that, and of course there's money. And it's people like you, the leading lights in the country, who have shown how to change, that are going to be at the front of making those changes as we go forward. It's up to us, up to you, in all of your centres, to work out how do we make sense of all these challenges, and which challenges are you going to take on. So one of the things I want to do very quickly was reflect on, we know that it can be a really, really powerful thing working together, and I'm going to ask you in a minute just to spend 2 minutes on one particular thing. I'm going to ask you around your tables to have a chat, because you've sat and listened to us now for 20 minutes. I'd like to hear, and David and I are going to run around and find out what you say about the challenges. Was it good working with colleagues from other DHBs? I was fascinated at the way you sat at the different tables. So I'd just like, in 2 minutes' time, to come around and capture a few things that you might say were good and bad about working across the different DHBs. So it's your turn to talk for a minute now, 2 minutes, and then we're going to come around and see if there's any messages about what's good and what's bad, about, hopefully good, about what you've picked up from working with other DHBs. So you've got 2 minutes, and then we'll be back to you. So please, talk amongst yourselves. Okay, everybody, that's just a short chat. If I can bring you back to David's writing skills on the board, I think we were going to start with the Waikato. We were going to come, is that over here? Wider matter.
You're very pale.
Yeah, I am.
I'm sorry?
Waikato, actually. And being able to contact other peers.
That's great.
Yeah, it's just networking.
Networking, putting a face to it,
Yeah.
being able to contact other peers. Thank you very much. Sorry, was there any thoughts here, good or bad?
Good, and we've got Sharon.
Liz, go on, Liz.
Yeah.
I'll hold that for you.
Oh, God. Sharing of information and the ability to problem solve within a bigger group of people to find solutions. It was great to have the support of something a lot bigger than what we were trying to do within our unit. And networking, we had that as an accessibility of people perhaps that we hadn't had access to before. And for learning, got a great opportunity for learning, and the way in which we all work together to get the national pack for insertions, etc. But couldn't really think of anything bad.
Oh, that's great, Liz. Thank you very much. Who have we got on this table again? Remind me.
We're Bay of Plenty.
Bay of Plenty. Hi.
Hi.
Lorraine, can I
Lorraine, yes. Yes, we agree with all, we had all that's up there already, and we also felt that it was really good not to have to sort of try and problem solve in isolation, that some problems that you think are only particular to your experience, you find that others are experiencing as well.
Fabulous. Yeah, thank you, Lorraine. That's great. Nothing bad yet? Nothing bad? Oh, mind you, the South Island's coming up now. Here we have most of the South Island and an empty seat. Who's the empty seat for?
West Coast.
Isn't that nice? They've saved a seat for the West Coast. That's brilliant. So who's going to speak for the South Island? There you go. Sorry, what's your name?
Scott from Nelson.
Oh, cheers.
So I'm going to change the trend and tell you a bad thing. For our regional meetings, our video conferencing was a disaster. I don't think we had one that went right. So technology.
That's good. Thank you very much, South Island. Oh, there's a good point. Hang on. Sorry, what's your name?
My name's Mick.
He gets a bigger
from
prize
Christchurch.
later. Thank you.
It's been fantastic from a geographical perspective, because it's sort of like a complete opposite from what New Zealand actually is. Obviously in the South Island we're all very geographically separate from each other, but it's been fantastic sort of pulling together and all drawing to the same table to have a sit down and meet each other, and it's been lovely meeting you guys too. Don't take me wrong, but it's been great meeting and networking.
That's great. Thanks, Nick. I'm starting to get the hang of all these Kiwi accents as well. It's really working well. Who've we got here? No one wants to talk to me. Marco does. Marco.
Yeah, we agree with the same. Networking, meeting people, putting names to faces. We built up relationships with microbiology in Auckland, which is our microbiology lab. So it's off-site, so we actually met them and linked up with them, so it was great, yeah.
Oh, thanks, Marco. Yeah. Thank you, Marco. On this table, who would like to respond? Oh, there's... Oh, Merritt.
I think it's been great that we've united the units in Auckland so well, but even bigger than that, the region has got closer together, and not just around CLAB. It's sharing a lot of different things and problem solving a lot of different things. So it's gone outside of CLAB very nicely to our advantage.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I'm going to pick on someone here because Dave, for some reason, skipped over Hutt Valley, and that's Sarah sat at the back here, Sarah Harris. So I'm sure Sarah wants to feed back on behalf of...
From my perspective, I think I've really enjoyed the regional network building. We've always had a close relationship with Cape Coast, but that wider region, I think, built some really good contacts.
Yep. All good. Thank you, and thanks very much. Now, I see a few counties people, and Sean, of course. Anyone?
I think you've all said most of what we thought, so we were a bit upset about being last here. But I think the key context was our biggest thing, was not just knowing people, but knowing their faces and having a relationship that we've built up with the collaborative, and able to actually pick their brains about other issues, other problems that are going on, and what other people have done about it.
Thank you very much. Now, I'm not going to pick on our friends from 3M here at the front for this one, but they may well want to participate in the next little bit, because I'm going to thank you for that. And Dave, I think we got some great stuff on the board, and we'll learn about that video conferencing. I think the technology obviously is a challenge. When you look at international movements and campaigns and networks, there are some common features that come over, and I hear some of those in what you're describing. Optimism, the front line has to own this, coordination, IT needs to be better, the sharing, and That's the purpose of a collaborative structure, that what we've been working with you and testing across New Zealand, to work out how we accelerate learning around a shared goal and then build a peer, a collegiate network around it. They do work and they are reusable. But one of the features of them, you'll see what we're trying to do and what you've done yourselves is it's about motivation, it's innovation, results, but building capacity. Now I'm going to pick on one of those, just for my last 8 minutes with you. I'm going to pick on one of them and give you another 5-minute task now, because perhaps, you know, CLAB was important, but litter is even more important. And as you wander around, Counties is beautiful and clean, you won't see too many problems here. But one of the commonest problems that we have is getting people to do things. How do we make change happen? So what I'm going to ask you to do is, in your tables, or in any groups that you wish, for 5 minutes, I'd like you to come up with an innovative solution to make people, encourage people to put litter in a bin. Then I'm going to show you one that some other people came up with. The best one, and David has reassured me, the best team will get a bottle of the most expensive wine at the restaurant, paid for by David Galler. So, 5 minutes from now, and David and Brandon Bennett will be the judges of your ideas. 5 minutes, innovate.
Okay, you guys. Okay, I think we're going to call it to a halt now. We're going to quickly whiz around. And Brandon, where's Brandon? Brandon over there is the man you have to convince. Okay, we're going to start with the Bay of Plenty. You've got 30 seconds. Hang on. Whoa. Catherine Hocking. Shush. Okay, Bay of Plenty. You got 30 seconds. Here we go.
We've discovered that we thought we should reward people, because you could reason with them or you could punish them, so we went with reward. So we thought that every time you threw something in a bin, you'd get applause, and a little ticket would come out of the machine, and you'd get a random spot prize if you're lucky.
Lovely, thank you.
So they were obviously listening to us. Because we thought you'd get a lottery ticket out, and once a year over the whole country, then you'd win a car. So you'd go into a national prize draw, and one person would win one car once a year.
Okay, we're heading over here now, quickie. Okay, Marco.
Our approach is mainly focused on kids, so we thought in all kindergartens we would have bins that looked like dragons and that had a voice that said paper here, so if you wanted to put in your paper, they would open their mouths and swallow the paper, and that's very effective for kids. They actually go and pick up papers to put in the dragon because they like that action. So.
And adults, of course, are just big kids, aren't they, Marco? You know, you're quite right. We're coming down to Waitemata and Hamilton.
We've been similar to
Here we go, you hold that and speak into it.
much the same as everyone else. One idea was to have a sculptural or an artistic rubbish bin, making people want to look closer, and the placement of the rubbish bins, so perhaps having them in more obvious places and being artistic, that might work. And we also had singing rubbish bins that sang, I don't know, AC/DC or something when you put rubbish in. And an appreciative rubbish bin, again, I think someone said that thing, thank you.
Boy, why haven't we got these? An appreciative rubbish bin. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? No, here we go. What do you think?
So we're going for a multi-pronged attack. We want to decrease the amount of litter that we've got. So we make it edible, we make it biodegradable, so it doesn't actually matter if it doesn't get in the bin. We want to make the bins attractive, make them colourful, play music when you put the thing in, and develop an app so that you get some reward, either some credit time or
like
a loyalty card thing.
Cool, thank you. Thanks, Stephen.
Hi, we've got a few ideas that wrap into something called Trash Cam, which has two ideas. The rubbish bin with the target shot, so you can have shot of the day published at your local bus station, where if you do a fancy shot and it lands on in the target. Also a bit of spy litter lying around some central place that has a camera in it, so the kindest person that walks out of their way to pick it up also gets noted publicly. So that's Trash Cam.
If you see a piece of trash lying in the corridor when you walk past it in the hospital, do you pick it up? Yeah, we do, don't we? Not you. It's Sean. Great.
We thought that trash cans placed around the workplace with a small sort of maybe weighing machine on it with a target, so that you get the 10 Ks in the can, and then the company donates to Ronald McDonald House or whatever. So it's more of a sort of incentive-based donations project. Yeah.
And we'll come to 3M. They'd be interesting to see what 3M come up with.
Well, we had actually very similar ideas to everybody else, based on more modern technology of sensors, sensing maybe when people are around a bin, but having the bin very visible, maybe in a really artistic way, making people actually look at it. And also we thought that there might be a way to link texting from the bin, sensing people's phones as they come past and texting them to remind them to put litter into it. Whether that would work or not.
Okay, fabulous. There's a whole mix of competition and collaboration going on there, and I'm just looking at the whites of Brandon's eyes here as he's panicking about making a decision. I'm going to show you the next couple of slides why he and Dave make their decision, but I just thought, first of all, I'd like you each to give each other a round of applause. That was fantastic. Really, really good. Brilliant. Okay, we all know that feeling. Thank you very much, and now back to David to take you into the rest of the day and maybe to give you the results.
Well, I think we'll give that job to Brandon. Brandon, I've got the envelope here. The winner is...
The winner is the Dragon trash can.
Okay. You'll be at dinner tonight, you guys? You'll be there? Okay, all right. We have got a deal for you. No.